I had to let off, it was powerful.
Hey, it's Paul from Electric Scooter Guide, the channel that scientifically tests more scooters than anyone. And the single motor scooter I'm testing this week comes with something called Beast Mode. Stay with us because this is the quickest single motor electric scooter we've ever tested for anywhere near this price. This is our full review of the new VMAX VX2 Pro GT. We've got the ESG certified top speed and performance, the reliability scorecard, things we like about it and don't like, and we'll show you how the VX2 Pro compares to our other favorite scooters at this price. Plus, I've got a hack that improved the braking distance by almost a foot, and that's something you can use on almost any drum brake scooter. We met the guys from VMAX at Micromobility 2023. Unlike most new electric scooter companies, they're already designing and manufacturing their own scooters, and that's because they aren't actually new. They're just new in the US. They were founded in Switzerland in 2015 and just arrived in the US market and opened their Los Angeles warehouse in 2023. This is a very serious looking scooter with its all matte black finish and very few exposed fasteners, so it's no surprise that it's designed in the same country that brought us the Sig Sauer. Let's check out the specs. The VX2 Pro, VMAX's best-selling scooter, comes in 3 different battery sizes. We're testing the big battery version, the VX2 Pro GT. They just dropped the prices on their scooters in the US by 20% because of the savings of not having to pay VAT like they do in Europe. And you can take another 10% off with code RIDERGUIDE, bringing the cost of the GT version down to $8.99. We've got links and a coupon code in the description and the comment section. So for $8.99, the specs are pretty strong. You get a high rider weight limit of 287 pounds, an exceptionally long 2-year warranty, a 500-watt motor, but motor power specs kind of don't mean anything. The 500-watt nominal VX2 Pro GT, for example, beat 2 scooters we've tested that are rated at 1,000 watts nominal, and it beats 7 other scooters rated between 600 and 1,000. So it's quick, and we'll show you exactly how quick later, but is the VX2 Pro GT any good to ride? Well, let me set a benchmark. The best way to think of this VMAX scooter is, it's like a bigger, faster Ninebot MAX G30. I would compare it to the Ninebot MAX G2, but the VX2 Pro GT doesn't have suspension. But you do get gobs of torque, acceleration, and hill climbing, and a frame that's almost too solid. When you first get on this thing, it's like, oh yeah, this thing feels good. There's no flex, no rattle, but after riding for over an hour, I started to feel all that feedback from the road kind of coming up through the stem and running into my thumbs like I did on the original Ninebot Max. But there is a fix for that. The owner's manual says you can use tire pressures from about 30 pounds up to about 45 pounds, and at 30 pounds of air, the ride is so smooth you'd swear that it has suspension. With the pressure set to 45 pounds, the ride is a little firm, but you get about 10% more range. In beast mode, the response from the thumb throttle feels snappy, but some riders might find it a little too responsive. But you can dial that down by dropping it out of sport mode or by using the sliders in the app. This next part is something that Mitchell and I both love about the VMAX scooters is you can turn on zero start cruise control, change into beast mode and back, all straight from the dash. So you can do almost everything without the app. The one exception I ran into, you need the app to switch from displaying kilometers to miles. The display itself is big and easy to read and so bright, I reached the end of the range test before I even remembered to write down how good it was or bad it was so I could tell you guys about it. And in a way, that's the best compliment I can give a dashboard. The fact that I never noticed dash brightness means it was always more than bright enough. Let's check out the rest of the controls. You've got your headlight switch here and your power button, and it has a very innovative braking system. The right lever looks and feels like a conventional brake, but it's not physically connected to a brake at all. It's a sensor that controls the variable regen braking via the rear wheel. It feels really natural, but you do reach a point right about here where regen braking power maxes out and stays the same no matter how much further you pull the lever. But most of the braking power is over here at the left lever, the one that controls your front drum brake and also gives you variable regen at the rear wheel. 90% of the time, I found myself only using the right regen brake lever. It's super smooth, it charges the battery, and if you use it all the time, your brakes will never wear out. But for maximum braking, you need to add the other lever. The left lever requires a strong grip to get full power, but the plus side is as long as your braking posture is correct, these brakes will never put you over the handlebars. Later in the performance section, I'll share a brake hack that you can use on almost any drum brake for better feel and more bite. Finally, you've got your turn signal switch down below your left thumb. I like that it's a rocker switch so that you can feel whether your signals are on or not. It gives one beep when the signals turn on and shows an indicator arrow on the dash, but they aren't self-canceling and they don't keep beeping, so it's easy to forget that they're on. The signals themselves are very good. They're up high in the handlebar where they can be seen from in front or behind, and they have nice rubber covers in case you tip over. The rear turn signals remind me a bit of my cousin's pet crab, Howie. They're mounted vertically on the deck where they won't get damaged in a tip over, and they're flexible in case you happen to snag one. The overall build quality is surprisingly good. The only quirk that stood out was that assembly had one tedious step. You have to feed a long cable down into the stem before you can fit the handlebars. But once you fitted the bars, that's it. Just air up the tires, charge if you need to, and go ride. Let's get to the good stuff. I'm sort of obsessed with stem latches because I believe that the feel of a stem latch is a good indicator of the build quality of the rest of the scooter, and this stem latch is very, very good. When you first pop up the stem, it grabs on and holds it up, and then gives a satisfying clunk when you close it. There are two safety catches when you open it. The front latch, which is easy to pull out of the way, and then this second catch right here. You don't need strong hands to use this latch, it just works. The stem to deck latch is also pretty good. It's right in the middle and stays latched when you set it down and pick it back up again. The deck itself is roomy and has a nice looking silicone cover that has plenty of grip. It's easy to clean, but if you're fussy about your scooter, you'll want to wipe it down regularly, or just wait until it's evenly gray from footprints and you won't really notice. The tires are tubeless and among the biggest in its class at 10 inches in diameter and unusually wide at 2.7 inches. These are the same tires we've seen used on the eMove Cruiser. We like tubeless tires because they're less prone to pinch flats and they work better with tire sealant. They don't come with tire sealant pre-installed, but it's easy to add, and we've got a link to our favorite tire sealant, Armadillos, down below. When you unbox the scooter, you'll find the usual stuff like fasteners, an Allen wrench, and a valve stem adapter for filling the tires. And I thought this was a really nice touch. They give you a canvas bag to carry around the 2-amp charger, so you don't look like I do wheeling into work with a cord dragging behind you. Because of the big battery, charging time is about 8.5 hours, but of course, that's only if you drain it completely like we do in the range test. Performance is up next, but first, don't forget to subscribe both right here at ESG and at our new separate Rider Guide YouTube channel, where we cover everything PEV. Let's check the results of the ESG performance tests. We tested top speed twice in opposite directions with our VBox data logger, and then averaged them together to get a certified 24.4 mph top speed. That's 0.4 mph faster than the 24 mph spec. Any speed over 20 to 22 mph is really useful for passing bikes in the bike lane and lets you briefly blend with traffic if you need to make a left-hand turn. On the ESG range test course, the VX2 Pro GT was an absolute range monster, covering 29.5 miles. Nothing we've tested at this price has gone this far. It beat the Ninebot MAX G2 by 11%, and on top of that, I was averaging almost 1 mph faster on the VX2 than on the G2 because I was riding fully unlocked in beast mode the whole time. It also wins when we look at tested range versus ESG certified weight. Based on the battery sizes, we estimate that the smaller battery ST and LT versions will cover 24 miles and 19 miles respectively. Acceleration wise, it's not gonna yank your arms back like most dual motor scooters, but for a single motor scooter, this is an absolute beast, beating everything in its class. All right, here's what 0 to top speed looks like on the VMAX VX2 Pro GTB. This thing power wheelies. Like, if I don't lean forward far enough, I had to let off. It was power wheeling. You can't put your foot all the way back. You wouldn't do that normally, but if you do, the power wheelies. I've never seen a scooter do that before. I mean, we've ridden its powerful single motors before, like the GT1, but it was just so long and heavy that it wasn't going to do that. And then, I don't know, eMove Cruiser is a powerful single motor scooter, but it also doesn't do that. But again, not a problem. I mean, especially if you ride, right foot forward the way I do, or leading foot forward, kicking foot, rearward, like most people do, then it's just not a problem, but it's kind of entertaining. The only single motor scooter we've tested that beats it is the much more expensive Segway GT1. So it was no surprise that the VX2 GT Pro is also the strongest single motor hill climber other than the GT1. Braking distance was also very good, stopping from 15 miles per hour in just 12.5 feet. But then I found a hack that took the brakes from good to great and dropped that number to 11.7 feet. And what I did was realign the front braking arm to make sure the cable was going straight up into the housing by bending the arm inward. This eliminates drag drag in the cable and delivers more force and more bite to the brake shoes. You can try this on any drum brake scooter. Just make sure that when you're done, the cable is straight and the arm isn't rubbing on anything. Mechanically, these brakes are very similar to the Ninebot MAX G2 with a drum in front and regen in the back, and strike a good balance between performance and safety. In terms of portability, the VX2 GT Pro weighs in at 45.2 pounds, so it's not light, but it's about what we'd expect for this class of scooter, and 8 pounds lighter than the Ninebot MAX G2. So for me, the VX2 is a comfortable carry for 1 to 3 flights of stairs, and the stem shape feels really good in my hand. My one complaint about portability is the wide handlebars can make it a snug fit depending on the size of your trunk. The VX2 scores a lofty 8.9 in the new ESG reliability chart, which is based on 11 factors that we track in our database. In fact, if I'd done this review before I did the most reliable scooters video, the VX2 would have pulled second place in the under $1,000 category. The score is pulled upward by a high IPX6 water resistance rating and an unusually long 2-year warranty, plus tubeless tires which are more resistant to flats, and because VMAX has a huge stock of spare parts available on their website. And finally, and this is a big one, the score also gets a boost because it's UL 2272 certified for safe charging indoors. And this has become especially important in New York City, where brick and mortar retailers can't even sell non-UL certified scooters anymore. Let's look at what else you could buy for around the same price. The Segway Ninebot MAX G2 is the standard setter for this category of scooters, so it was surprising when a newcomer like the VX2 Pro came along and outperformed it in literally every performance category, plus beat it on warranty length. But performance isn't everything. The Ninebot MAX G2 has noticeably better ride quality on a wider range of surfaces due to its full suspension, but at the cost of being 8 pounds heavier. NIU's KQi3 Max is another scooter we talk about a lot on this channel because we love its build quality, the 2-year warranty, and personally I enjoy the massive stopping power from the dual disc brakes, which can also be a little too intense for some. The KQi3 Max has the second highest top speed on the list behind the VX2 Pro and is the only other 48-volt scooter of the group. The Okai Neon Pro is another ultra reliable commuter scooter that sometimes, like right now, can be found on sale for a surprisingly low price. It's the only front-wheel drive scooter of the group, and to me that doesn't feel quite as good as rear-wheel drive, but not everybody feels that way. The Neon has the second highest range of the group and the second largest battery. It's a well-made, affordable commuter with a respectable 20.5 mph top speed. And the lightest of the group, the new Apollo Air, rivals the Max G2 for ride quality despite having suspension only at the front. And in 2023 picked up some high-end feel when it got the stem latch and thumb controls from the flagship Apollo Pro. Acceleration isn't quite as quick as the rest of the group, but it holds its own for range and top speed and looks good doing it. We were definitely surprised by this new brand, VMAX. To be honest, we come across a ton of scooters at industry shows, and most of them just aren't very special. They tend to be rebranded versions of stuff we've seen before. But these VMAX scooters are original, and the ones we've tested are honestly very good. With the VX2 Pro GT, they've set a new bar on performance per dollar, and the build quality feels like it's right there with all of our favorites. I would honestly be happy to own any of the scooters from our comparison list, and that definitely includes the new VX2 Pro GT. As always, the key to happiness with an electric scooter is finding the one that fits you best, and I hope we've helped you do that. This is Paul from ESG, and it feels so good to say that again. Anyway, get subscribed right here and over our new Rider Guide channel, otherwise you might miss half of our new content.